Five, four, three, two, one. Welcome to Take Five, your mental health program with CJ and Jester. With CJ and Jester. Caribbean, Pacific Martinic, the rest of the Eastern Caribbean, North America, Asia, Africa, Europe. Good morning to all our Take Five fans. Good morning to you, Jester, and how are you?
Good morning to you, Claire, and good morning to the listeners and viewers of the Stick 5 program.
Mhm.
It's good to be here for yet another Tuesday.
And we have a very, very interesting topic today. Last week we started speaking about the mental health crisis in sports. Today we are continuing, but not on a whole different level. So our phones are working again, I think, based on what I did a couple of days ago. Had it fixed, so hopefully it doesn't fail us this morning. So we're waiting for Kenro to call in and pray for us this morning. And in the meantime, just it was a long, long weekend. We had Carrier Sports in Trinidad. We heard Grenada did pretty A-OK this on the medal counts. And I didn't get to look at the whole thing, but every now and then you go to YouTube and you see the after effects of the races. And I think they did pretty well. So congratulations to all the athletes from Grenada because, again, we're speaking about sports and the mental health crisis that takes place with athletes. And a lot of people think that they make a lot of money. Yes. They are top of the line. Yes. But do they suffer like us? Yes. And even worse. So we're going to talk about that this morning. Let me say good morning to Marlon Klein. As usual, it says good morning to Jester, CJ, and all the listeners and viewers. Hope you all have spent the Easter holiday. Have yourself a wonderful, productive day with all God's richest blessing. Olavachi says, good morning. A pleasant morning to CJ and Jester and all the viewers and listeners. Much love and blessings. Thank you guys so much for joining with us. And Jester, I give it up to you to say good morning until Ken will call.
I did say morning already.
I mean, your
Oh,
peeps and
gosh.
your peeps.
Oh, yeah. You know, I've seen quite a few of my
Oh, back in the day, guys?
yeah,
Yes, a few of them are down here.
yeah, people like Win, Ted, John, Alistair, to Dubois.
I told her.
Yeah, it was here too.
I thought I saw somebody drove by a couple of days ago and I said, that looks like Alistair.
Yeah,
Where is her?
he's here, he's here.
Okay.
Andre Koch Charles is here.
Marvin Merriman is here.
Marvin Merriman,
Yes.
yeah.
Andy Bartholomew is here. The
Also
whole
his
crew.
sister. Quite a lot of people returned
Yes,
for
yes.
this Easter clip.
Yes.
Quite a lot of them, and I had a pleasure of meeting them because Ted had organized a cook-up on Fuller Show.
That's
Beach.
okay, eh?
No, Fuller Show is right down at the end of Montreal, stretch down there.
All right.
Yeah, that's where it was, right on the right-hand side when you're going towards Pittian's area. So, and yeah,
You know, he invited
Deborah
me.
Williams.
You know, he invited me and I told him I'm not coming.
Because that is
He
where.
won't be the journey. He gave me story to Andy and I said, Andy, weeks you didn't speak to us in a week. You should be throwing out all the nice clothes and I'm just throwing you. And I'm like, yeah.
Well, you came there to have fun, man. I guess that was part of it.
The thing just said that I did not go there. I was passing, you know when Miss Marina had that susu thing, right?
Yeah.
My grandmother sent her piece. So I said, I'm going to edge the fence. I edged.
You didn't edge enough?
Saw me or whoever saw me. And before I know it, passing it back of me and they just picked me up. And over the water.
Yeah, I remember that really.
I took out my watch on my hand and in the water. I went.
Yeah.
Speaking words, I had to come up home. I'm like,
But that was something crazy to do back then. Sometimes when you look back on some of the things you have done, you think,
I can't even swim.
you know,
That is the bad part of it. I can't swim. But it had the
they
pleasure of
decided baptizing
everyone.
you, girl.
Yes, yes.
But I remember when they did that. I
You
remember
know,
when they did that.
these are all in good fun. And let me say, Captain Ledo, saying good morning to CJ and Jester. Blessings to everyone. Thank you so much for checking in. We have something in store for everybody this morning. So you
Yeah,
will continue to say good morning.
I spoke to Mrs. Glean too.
How is she doing?
She's doing just fine. Yeah, she's doing fine out there in Boston.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she and the family. So my boy Gordon Bush is with Chetson.
He didn't
Yes.
come, did he?
No,
He was missing out. On the whole crew thing.
yeah, Claire, I saw Claire over the Easter
Did you tell her
weekend.
that you didn't sing the happy birthday for her?
Well, yeah, tell her
You
I'm
can sing.
not good at that. Yeah, we spoke all about that, you know.
No, she didn't
we,
tell me that, eh?
we spoke all about that.
You know, that's like to put you on the spot and say, Claire said to sing happy birthday for her.
Oh gosh, yes, it was a pleasure in seeing her now. I think it was on Sunday. Yeah, Sunday last.
Just that
I saw.
I ain't had Canada about to take on the mantle this morning.
Yeah, so why not you, Claire? We always have in that
I'm going
debate.
to explain to you afterwards. Go ahead, spray.
Me, Claire, why these days we go do the program only able
To function?
to go on, because I would decide to pray and you will pray. So and you will just stay.
Spray and give something to me on this moment of them. But
What? You have to stop that.
I know I will stop.
When?
I'm stopping now. Sorry. Okay. And if you can call in the middle of your prayer, I don't put on over. Go ahead.
Oh my gosh. Once again, I really need clean shoe. What? Despite that, let us all get in the frame of mind for approaching the Almighty Father, who I make no bones about. He's so real. Heavenly Father, we thank you once again for rising us up this morning from the bed. And there are some that cannot clear, so my heart goes out to them, urging them to keep the faith in the Almighty. He's everything that means good in every regard. He's so good to us. Are you having a fun? I think we're going to take this call upstairs. Good morning, General. Hello, General. Don't tell me you haven't seen the issue this morning again. Good morning. Getting General. And you're connected. Something is wrong with your seven. What it did work fine the other day. I don't know what's going on with it. Hold on, General. Hold on. This is crazy. Go ahead if you keep your hand in. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Amen. Thank you. Thank you so very much. Okay, bye bye. I just I know the phone worked. I tested it on Sunday. It worked perfectly, so I'm not sure what is going on now. Anybody, if anybody heard that prayer from Keno, please let us know. I may have to call my IT to to see if we can I'm going to be so disappointed if this doesn't work because I have a feeling it is that cord here, just and I'm going to see if I get one in St. George today. I believe there's a crack in that line here. So I'm going to try to keep it as high as possible and see if it's going to work that way. So, sorry to cut your prayer thing, but did anybody,
No, that's all right.
anybody hear the prayer from Kendall? Because I don't know.
Ken is the designated person
Yes,
for the
yes.
program.
So Mary is saying good morning. Mary from Toronto is saying good morning to Jester, CJ, and to everyone listening to the Take Five program. Mary into you. Good morning to you, Mary. Good morning to Anne Marie. Hope all is well with you guys.
So how was Easter, man?
What is that? I keep telling you that I go from one day to the next straight across. There's no nothing. It's but just a holiday. And you know, good morning to Mr. Nicholas Snag. How are you? All is well. Make sure you call this morning. Yes. The the thing is, I kind of have an issue, and maybe something is wrong with me, but I think just that we have become a party nation. It's like every time there's a holiday, it's music and rum and bad behavior. And there's a reason why I don't step out of my yard around those holiday times because you hear how many accidents that happen, the fighting, the whatever. It's like everybody has gone mad, to be quite honest.
I don't know what's happening nowadays. The in terms of the percentage,
Mm-hmm.
it, it is about 65% youthful.
Mm-hmm.
So you know what that means, and it only will become more and more youthful because while that the remaining percentage of the elderly folks continue to die out. So you know what is happening.
Yes, so well, let me say my quick mornings to the faithful Harry Douglas, Bernadette Abraham, Coffee in the morning, Daphne Dates and family are there in Toronto. The Glen family, the Hillsfield people, Olavachi, good morning, Bonjourno, NP, Lorna Bailey Tio, Mary in Tio, Junior at Grandy Tag, Alvin Harris out there in New York, Duchess, good morning. Good morning to Mrs. Snag. Good morning to Kenro, Bandy, Pat Pian family, good morning. Good morning, SPW. Good morning to Mush in the lady horticulturist. Good morning to Kathleen Ledlow, who already checked in. Royal Charles Alexander, good morning. Joyce and Noel. Antonia Francois. Good morning to all the people under the cashew tree. They had an event in the park there yesterday, Jester.
Oh, yeah, that look as Alician.
Yes, yes, they did. Paula, Sharon, Mama B, good morning to everyone. Good morning to Anne Bernard and Radio Man. I do Bushes, Chubby, Sherry, Pat, Augustine Belfort, Wayne Ted John, Marvin Merriman, and then welcome to Spice Country. Good morning out there to Wendy out there in Toronto. So that's it. Lorna has checked in and she says good morning to you, Jester, and good morning to me. It is hot. Hot, hot, hot. So Jester, we're going to just dive in because it's already 10:14. And this morning, we're going to talk about the mental health crisis in sports 2.0 because we started last week, but we give it another switch. And it is said it is okay not to be okay. So that is what the program is for this morning. Mental health crisis in sports 2.0. It is okay not to be okay. And I do have a clip here that I need to play so that you can listen to. And here we go.
I want to share my story so I can help.
Understand that it's okay to not be okay. It's time to talk. It's time to change.
When I played football, that was my language. That's how I communicated. And when that was taken away from me, I just felt like I was nothing. I was no one.
You know, you got so much responsibility as an athlete to your team. You know, you got to play at a certain level, and your teammates counting on you. You got the pressure from the media.
You know, when you experience the highs and obviously you're going to experience the lows, and it's coping with the lows that is the most difficult part.
When I got into my state. It hit me like a brick.
Was that
I
because
didn't tell anyone because I didn't want anyone to think differently of me.
When I was playing rugby, my feet were not planted deep; they were shallow. Anything was knocking me around, and I felt like it was a balancing act. I had to fight against this, fight against this, fight against this, and hold on and survive, and win a game. And it was just thank God for that. Let's move on.
Yeah.
I suffer from depression. Depression is with me on a daily basis. It is time for sport to accept its responsibility with this issue.
There's records, there's numbers that I'm really close to, and of course I feel pressure, but I will play, I will fight, and I will keep going on.
And my thoughts of wanting to take my life, they don't define me, and they will never define me, and they'll never win.
Struggles are going to happen in life. You're going to get punched in the mouth at some point, but understand that you can get back up, dust yourself off, and get back out there.
Everybody's going through something, and everybody, has things that you can't see, you can't touch, that they're walking around with every day.
If your eyes hurt, you go to the opticians. If your head's hurt, you go and see someone about mental health. It'd be nice just to let it out rather than keeping it in. So the more you keep it in, the more you explode.
I don't know why I opened up and talked about it, but I guess I was just sick and tired of just having it inside of me for 20 plus years, and I was ready to make a change. Thanks.
Please, I'll tell you the names of all the people here that spoke about the mental issue, the mental struggle that they're going through, and they are elite athletes. So we started off with Marty Fish, he plays tennis. Michael Phelps, the guru of swimming. Kelly Smith, football. Damian Lillard, basketball. Tony McCoy, he's a jockey. Dame Kelly Smith, she's a three-time Olympian. Johnny Wilkinson, rugby. Clark Carlisle, football. Serena Williams, tennis. Andrew Jensen, golf. Colton Wong, basketball. Kevin Love, basketball. And Frank Bruno, he was a boxer. So all of these people, there are a whole lot more. I didn't want to stretch it. A whole lot more of them that are going through or were going through mental health struggles. And the question we ask ourselves, I could ask myself is, should they? They make a lot of money. They're the elites. They're the cream of the crop. Why are they going through mental health issues?
Well, it's a lot of pressure, being a sports person, especially when you're not in sport just for the fun of it, when you're a competitive sports person. So once you're in competition, just remember that the pressure that being exerted on your shoulders can be very, very overwhelming at times.
Yes.
Because so much is being expected and dependent upon you. You understand? Not just you being yourself, but other people's expectations are so high on you. And I guess that is where all of the pressure tend to mount from.
But
and it does be enormous, I can tell you that.
You know what's amazing? When you look at Michael Phelps in the pool, he has it all together, right? When you look at all of them in their individual sport, it's like they are invincible, nothing can touch them. But here we are, with all the names of people that we know and looked at on TV and follow the games and so, and they all are saying that they had mental health struggle. One says depression lives with him every day. Every live long day, he's depressed. And, another said that, he would not let that define who he is. He's going to try to get out of it. So, it says 1/3 of elite athletes, including those who perform at the Olympics and professional level, report that they experience mental health challenges like depression, anxiety, and eating disorders. 1 in 5 adults will experience a mental health diagnosis in a given year. Nearly 60% of mental health disorders in adolescents are undetected and untreated. Life can be challenging, but every day shouldn't feel hard or out of your control. Mental health has become a common topic in sports. We're hearing more and more athletes of all levels talk about the concerns, difficulties, and successes related to mental health and wellness. However, stigma still exists which keeps some people from talking about their problems. In fact, Mental Health America reported that on average, it takes a person, get that, Jester, 11 years to seek professional help. Can you imagine suffering in silence for so long? Please know you are not alone, and talking with a licensed counselor can help. So, it's a
Why it takes so
stigma.
long? Is
Let
it
me ask
because
you,
you're living in denial?
I don't know if it's denial, but when people expect so much of you, let me ask you something. If you're going through depression, you right now, or you're going through something in sport, you are at the top of your game, and you come out and say, in their era, and you come out and say, I am depressed, I'm mentally unstable or something. Let me tell you, we've seen it over and over. Your thing just dropped like a bomb. No one is going to hire you. No one is going to say help you in any because at that time mental health was not something that was as prevalent as it is today. So they are suffering in silence because they know what was at stake. Now it is wide open. People are talking about it more and more. So it's a bit easier. It's not there yet, but it's a bit easier for you and I and other people to talk about the struggles that we are going through. It takes 11 years for someone to come out and say that they are having mental struggles.
That's why I think that's a very long time.
Yeah, but there are a lot of us that are going through things just like we talk
Yeah,
about it,
that's true.
and we're not even in sports.
That's
Do
true
we
too.
talk about
That is true.
So, as humans, as I said, it is a stigma. And when you suffer, when you have this stigma, when people are stigmatizing you, you feel like this come up here. They don't want to have anything to do with it because, hey, we are paying you all that money and you want to come and tell me you're suffering from something? Get a grip.
But it's only human. We're not
Tell
superhumans.
that to the people that pay
Yeah,
you 3.5 million or 30 million or 70 million
humans.
to do their
Yeah,
thing. Tell that to them,
that
not me.
and that is where the pressure, one of the
Exactly.
areas in which the pressure severely is being exerted upon your shoulders, man. And it's really not easy. See, our sports people out there, we don't know the tremendous amount of mental strain that they go through, you know?
Well, I think now, these days, we are sort of seeing it because it's been talked about more. So when an athlete says, what's her name? The little tennis player. What's her name? I'm seeing her now. Her father is Haitian, her mother is, her father is Haitian, her mother is Asian.
Look at this girl and she's so
Yes.
popular.
Yes. When she said that she couldn't handle tennis anymore and she's going through mental, the media, they ate her, they chew her, they spit out, they pick up, they chew her someone, they spit out someone. You understand?
Yeah, I know.
They made it even worse for her. And they're saying, oh, because she's losing, she's backing up. But it wasn't about her losing. It was how she was feeling. And when she said it, it was like they put her through the ringer.
Serena Williams?
No, Serena Williams is the business.
Okay.
She's there too.
Yeah.
Oh
She
my
was under
God.
some pressure too at one time.
Yes, because she put herself under pressure because she was going for number 24.
Yes.
She was going for number 24. And if somebody could remember the name Naomi Osaka. That's right. When she said that she was going through mental issues, the media didn't take it well. People in the fans didn't take it well. When she left for a while. She came back, but she wasn't totally still wasn't totally well. And right now we're not even hearing about her if she's in tennis or anything of that sort because mental.
No, any competitor in sport tell you that they are going through some form of depression. You got to understand. I find that, well, for me, being um, a competitor in sport at one time would know that maybe people might find it difficult to understand it. But folks, you got to understand that once there is a competitive sports person, at some point in time, they could find themselves under severe mental strain.
Mm. It's and the thing is, and more and more of us are getting to understand it. Mental issues or mental health issues is not something that you can point at somebody and say they have that. That's why someone can stay 11 years before they come and talk about it. Because it's not something that is right in front of your face that you can see. And that's why a lot of us suffer in silence. Because we do not want people to know that we are going through this. But this is the hardest thing, as the gentleman, the boxer said, we got to talk about it.
Do you know that in some instances, some of these sports people, right? Competitive sports people are being threatened at times, especially by those who bet, who usually do betting. Yeah.
Yeah, it happens. So here it says, I am mentally tough. Can I still experience mental health problems? The short answer is yes. Athletes spend thousands of hours training their bodies, and more coaches, athletes, trainers are paying attention to training people's minds. Mental toughness is the ability to have focus and success on the field, manage difficulties and disappointments, and to request help or assistance when needed. To help people in sports recognize common problems, the American Medical Society for Sports Medicine identified 14 common mental health problems people in sports face. This includes personality issues, that is, athletic identity traits, sexuality and gender issues, hazing, bullying, sexual misconduct, transitioning from sport, psychological response to injury and illness, self meditation in response to injury, illness, eating disorder, disordered eating, depression and suicide, anxiety or stress, overtraining, sleep and attention deficit, hyperactivity disorder, which is ADHD. So, even though you say that you're mentally strong, and I may say that I'm mentally strong, that doesn't mean that I cannot go through or would not go through mental health struggles. Because after all, we are all human and we are not immune from any of this that is going on.
Well, of course, and not all the occasions would be same.
No,
Wouldn't.
not at all.
Yeah.
As it
So
says, every moving bird has a moving genius.
exactly.
So what I may say that is affecting me mentally, you must say, what's wrong with Claire? That Claire letting do that to her, but then you do not know what my mental
Yeah.
state is.
Sometimes the competitor has to face up to a different kettle of fish.
Exactly.
You know.
Exactly.
So
Here it says, what are some specific examples of mental health concerns in sports? Unfortunately, almost all populations, including officials, coaches, and athletes, experience mental health concerns. Let's start with the official. Officials, which are referee or judges, experience verbal abuse, aggression, and disrespect from athletes, fans, and media, resulting in substantial stress. In one study, about 95% of officials experienced verbal abuse, 23% experienced physical abuse, and abuse resulted in increased anxiety, depression, and intention to quit. So even the coaches, the referees, the judges, they too are not immune to going through mental health issues.
of
It's the
course.
pressure also. They are not the one that holding the ball or the bat or the racket or anything. But they are in the fine line just so.
Of course.
Also, because if you see in tennis, if the judge that sits on the chair called the ball out and it didn't go, you see people like what's his name? Tsitsipas, whatever his name, go up the Greek terror. He goes up to the judge and what he is saying to them is what we didn't hear. You understand? They swear them and they do all kinds of things. In basketball, they go up to the referee right in his face, spit flying everywhere. The referee is getting that. So they too
Yeah.
get
Officials,
yes.
but officials, I believe, still have it even tougher than some because it's really not easy, you know. When you, especially you being a, let's say, for example, like a football referee, man,
Mhm.
you're under immense pressure. You're under pressure from the players on the field. You're under pressure because remember, while they are refereeing, right, they have what you call referee assessors, right? Who they are to come to, who will be supervising their performance while being on the field. So that in itself is a pressure on you to do well. So it's really, really not easy. Plus, you have the general fan base to deal with. Some referees feel very, very much threatened. That's why security is of maximum importance to FIFA these days in football. You know? Yeah.
Yeah, to get track.
Security.
Here it says coaches. Coaches are expected to design and deliver programming to facilitate improved individual and team performance in a safe environment to win and to win. Coaches now hold multiple roles and relationships with athletes, parents, officials, organization, agents, etc. One study identified that stress in coaching comes from a lack of communication, unclear or unrealistic goals, and cultural issues. The same study found that professional coaches are equally as stressed as youth coaches. Coaches of various levels have different kinds of stress. Coaches are expected to be responsible for the physical and emotional well being of players, and researchers have identified barriers to addressing mental health concerns, including lack of knowledge about the subject and repeated exposure to stress, player performance, criticism, organizational demands. So, as you see, coaches, the role they have to play is more than just playing that role because they have a lot of people to answer to.
Correct. When the clubs and them employ these coaches, the ultimate expectation is for once the team is being engaged is to get a victory from it.
Yeah,
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, yes, one or two failures may come along, but these teams and them they don't accept it for that long. The minute time you're continuing a downward spiral, man, they yeah.
Kerry says now, elite athletes. Athletes competing at the professional level, Olympic or collegiate levels are considered elite. According to one study, 5 to 35% of elite athletes reported experiencing mental health symptoms in a given year. They reported similar complaints as the general population with anxiety, depression, sleep issues, eating disorders, and substance use as primary concerns. Is that your fault?
No.
However, elite athletes seek help less often than the general population. The idea of the strong, winning athlete contrasts with the image of a weak, depressed person. Risks related to mental health include training schedule, being away from family, injury, lack of retirement planning, levels of athletic identity, education level, post-sport unemployment, chronic pain, past counseling experiences, and racial or cultural differences. So, elite athletes, these are some of the people that spoke this morning that I played clip this morning. They're elite athletes. And here it's saying the amount of stress that they go, eating disorders, sleep deprivation, education. And you know, when you're an athlete and you become an elite athlete, you don't just go and run like Kiwani James does or Ethan whoever, JBSS and Callis and everything. You have to maintain your academic level in your schoolwork and in sports. So gone are the days where I used to do your homework for your Jester and you play sport. Because a lot of this happened. People used to pay people to do their homework, to do their tests and everything like that, and they just play. They have catch up on that. They got the menu. Coaches and the owners also got the memo, so they have to perform in class and also on field.
Yeah.
And if
You have
you
to
don't,
create the balance.
yes, and if you cannot do both, then you might end up not being a part of the team. And it talks about unemployment after being an elite athlete. So if you're one of those that used to get paid $30 million, in yourself, you're saying that, oh, I'm making $30 million a year. I have money to burn. But when you burn the money, and then you get hurt, you get injured, and you cannot play again, who is going to employ you? Where do you get employment and you do not have to do? So all of this plays a big part in the mental health of elite athletes. And you sometimes you hear of this person go bankrupt and you wonder what happened. It's because they didn't manage their money well, or they tell themselves that they will always be there and
Yeah.
always get money. And that is not so.
The career of a sports person could
How
end
long
up
does it
being very
last?
short. Eh?
Yes.
Yeah.
You pull a hamstring or you tear your Achilles
Yeah,
tendon, and that's it.
sudden injury.
Yeah.
That's it.
The doctor said you can never play again.
Yeah.
And that's it. And your whole life has come to an end right before your very eyes.
So that's why it is important to have the balance. So you have the
Educated
So
and the stamina to do what to do.
you could always fall back on something, some other profession.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So we're going to deal with youth athletes. About 50% of common mental health disorders are present in before the age 18, including depression, anxiety, eating disorders, and substance abuse. And we see already that this play a big part in it. We talk about on the adults, now we're talking about the youth, and it's the same trend: depression, anxiety, eating disorders, and substance abuse. Nearly 60% of these disorders are undetected and untreated in adolescents. Youth elite athletes experience significant stigma related to mental health and have negative attitudes towards asking for help, sometimes due to fear of losing their spot on the team. In a recent study, nearly 17% of youth athletes reported current mental health concerns. 25% said the concerns have been something they always experience. Nearly 25% reported 4 or more symptoms across the last year or over their lifetime. Individual sport athletes reported some mental health concerns than team sport athletes. And here goes the key: girls are more likely to report symptoms than boys. So we have that thing about us that something happens to us, we're going to talk about it. Whereas you all hold it inside.
Generally speaking, that's how it is with the females.
And and holding things inside is not strength. Strength is not about holding things inside. Strength is about letting it out so that you can seek help. And we're talking about youth. So when you are a young person and you're running and you're under pressure from the coach, from your parents, from the fans, and so it's gonna eat you inside. So talk to someone about it. Good morning to Jenny. She says good morning to you, Jester.
Good morning to you, Jenny.
Jenny had a daughter that used to run. She was really, really good. But she's out of she after a while I think they just give up. They had enough of this and they just give up. But Kat did very well in her athletic meets and everything like that. So the thing is just a lot of the pressures that a lot of the children are going through and a lot of the adults are going through. Some of us as parents, and not all, some of us see the potential in a child to do well. Like your son, you see the potential in
Giovanni.
I was pronouncing him bad, so Giovanni. You see the potential, and he's interested in sports. So you now cannot just sit back and say, ah, that is just a phase. Let him go ahead and go on. You see the potential, you see the love of the gaming, the love of sports in it. So yes, it is your duty as a parent to help him get where he wants to go.
Yes.
Now, if you as a footballer used to run, you do all that, but you tell yourself, you know what? I have a son and he has to play sports because I was involved in sport. That is the wrong thing to do.
Yeah,
because you are pressuring that child of yours to do the things that you want him to do, that you want to live your life through him or her, and you cannot do this.
No, that's
because
bad.
they are not interested in what you're interested in.
Yes.
Whatever it is that they choose to do, give them the support. Do not try to make their life yours. And that's what a lot of us as parents do and cause our children to be under undue stress. Because when they go to the meet, they're not going because they enjoy going or enjoy running. They're going because my parents says that I have to go to this school and I have to take part in sports and I have to do this. So when they get a medal, there's no joy in what they accomplished because it is not what they want.
Yeah, and if they don't, they are not showing interest on their own of doing it, that is a problem in itself. And if you are pressuring them, then it means they will lack the motivation within themselves at some point in time. Yeah.
Let's take a commercial break and we shall be right back.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Welcome to Talk 5, your mental health program with Spice of Your Life and a Spice as the Spice Art Farmers Association, producers of our locally grown spice products, turmeric, ginger, nutmeg, cinnamon, cloves, and much more, all of which, when used, promotes healthier living. The spices can be used in all your cooking and for medicinal purposes. Call today on 1473 533 547. Spice Art
digitally calibrated machines, resurfacing engine heads, general machinery. Show us a pattern and we'll make it with precision services by your needs. Just ask and it will be done. Call us at 473 418
all you find for the revenues markets where you can purchase all grocery and household items at the same time. Well, you look further. Smart Buy SO Dolphin and Company Limited, located at the top of the town on Main Street, St. Patrick, is the time for start. There is from Sunday to Sunday from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Mondays to Fridays, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. on Saturdays, and 8 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. on Sundays, just for your convenience. Call them today at 442-9219. That number again, 442-9219. We're shopping snacks at Snack Bag.
For more information, contact We Noise TV at 929-445-4463, or you can email us at wenoisetv@gmail.com. We Noise TV, the leading streaming provider. Anytime, anywhere, any screen. Access to your favorite HD contents with prices as low as ever. Choose from monthly, quarterly, or yearly payments. This worldwide service is flexible for you to keep up with all your favorite programs, shows, movies, and local programming from home no matter where you travel to. Worldwide TV channels right at your fingertips wherever you are. Latest in live sports, binge watch all your favorite TV shows, movies on demand, videos on demand you can pause, rewind, fast forward anytime. Never miss 1 minute in entertainment important to you. No contracts, no added prices for sports or premium packages. You certainly don't have to pull tricks like cable and satellite companies. Our product speaks for itself and beyond. We Noise TV. We have everything like Netflix, Disney, Amazon. Watch your favorite movies, TV shows, and series with our services. With our service, you will get rid of all other subscriptions. For more information, contact We Noise TV at 929-445-4463, or you can email us at wenoisetv@gmail.com.
Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Welcome to Talk 5, your mental health program with CJ and Jester. CJ and Jester. Spice up your life on a spice.
Back, Jester. We're getting a call earlier and then we talk about athletes in sports and it's okay not to be okay. Just when we coming to the end of the program, I will play the clip again so that those of you who missed it will know what elite athletes are going through. They are just as normal as the rest of us, that they go through mental health issues just the same. So it says, um, here are some of the things that affects athletes, the mental health. It
Not,
says,
not breaking the stigma, are we? Yeah.
where are we breaking the signal?
Yeah.
So my feet just fly all the way up there.
Yeah.
Okay. Breaking the stigma. And still strong and still control. Okay, breaking the stigma. My pencil thing just flew up there. So mental health in athletes and breaking the stigma. A more open conversation on athletes and their mental health needs is overdue. Nobody questions an athlete taking time to recover from a sprained ankle or broken wrist. Those injuries are easy to see and come with a clear understanding, and they can't be ignored. But what about when athletes need to step away to tend to mental health needs? Depression and anxiety aren't diagnoses if every diagnosis evident on an X-ray or MRI, but they can be every bit as limiting or debilitating as a physical injury. But too often, these issues are ignored in the name of grit. So now we are talking about, remember earlier I said you cannot see if I'm going through mental struggles. If an athlete is like playing tennis and the wrist, what do you call it, the wrist get hurt or broken or sprained, everybody can see because when TV and when when you cry out in pain. Now, nobody give an issue, nobody has an issue with that. But the minute you see that you're stepping away from tennis because you have mental struggles, you become stigmatized. And that's why it says a lot of youths and even the elite athletes are afraid to come out and say that they're going through. Because remember, up on at the bit on the top, it says no one wants someone that is going through this on the team because it's going to derail the morale of the team. It's going to derail them, their winning, what do you call that? Streak.
The winning
The
streak.
winning
Yeah.
streak. So then if you're going through, don't say anything to anybody. When we get over the season, you can go to a doctor. But this is wrong on all because they're facing pressures on their own, and then you telling me don't say anything because we're on a roll, and I am still going through what it is I'm trying to tell you that I'm going through, and you're telling me that. So how does that fit into getting help? How?
But the thing is, yeah, we don't really, sometimes, well, we don't see it, but we could realize it. Sometimes we don't see it because it's not something, as you say, in comparison with somebody getting a joint injury or so. But if you realize the manner in which, or the routine of one, he actually has changed and become strange, then you should realize, hey, that maybe something is happening here.
But remember, it says that a lot of the coaches are not versed or they're not trained to recognize that what is going on in that person because it wasn't something that they spoke about openly before. So if I am going through something, they'll say, "Oh, maybe your client husband is having a problem at home."
That's why I always feel like, Claire, I believe coaches and things should be given, even if it's just some like a crash courses along sports psychology, even like counseling. Yeah, because to help in that regard or to realize certain things, they would be better equipped, as to how they deal with certain situations with regards the maybe strange behaviors or unusual behaviors of the players.
But you see, again, it is one thing saying that this is correct. But if you see a lot of athletes, as I said, they don't speak about what they are facing until it becomes really, really bad, right? And if I don't say anything and I continue to play, but it's weighing on me, then the coach will say, he will pull out and say, "Claire, what's going on?" Oh, nothing, I'm okay, just dealing with some stuff. They will take it as it is personal stuff at home that I'm dealing with, right? Like I'm having problems with my husband or you having problem with your wife. So it becomes like they personalize it because I am not saying anything. And you cannot blame the coach then because he is not versed in knowing what it is. And the point that you brought up about they should go through some sort of counseling themselves or some sort of workshop or something to identify the problem that is taking place in their players, then it is not something that they could just watch and say, okay, Jester is going through mental struggle or Claire is going through mental struggle unless I open my mouth and say. And then when I open my mouth and say, I'm benched
But yeah,
and I want to play.
but for some of the bigger organized clubs, internationally, they have that sort of personnel on board there.
Now,
Yeah.
now because the former athletes that I had to pick on this morning, they put it in, and that's why the Englishman says, and Frank Bruno says, it is time. Was it him or one of them said, it is time for sport to get involved in mental health of their players because a lot of them is going through this. You telling me that Mbappe and Ronald, whatever Cristiano, whatever his name is, and all these players are playing football and it's what are they? Son Jomi, whoever they play with, Manchester United and all this place. You think a lot of them is not going through mental issues? They are.
Of course they are.
But they're not saying anything because they don't want to be sitting on the bench or they want to miss the game that they love so much, so they're not saying anything whatsoever.
And especially a lot of the clippings you came up with there is like more the individual sport, but for the team sport, yeah, it's a bit different. So
but it's the individuals that come together and make a team.
Yeah, I agree.
It's the individual because if I am not performing 100% and you are not performing 100%, you are an individual, I'm an individual. And if everyone on the team is not feeling mentally stable, the whole team suffers because individuals that make up that team. The team didn't just come by, they just put a whole bunch of things in individuals. And if each of us is going through mental struggles, how is it going to benefit the team? And I mean, the coach pays for it when the team is not doing well. It's not the coach that is playing, it's the team. But if they do not identify what is going on with that person, then the coach.
And most of the time, right, when the coach is having positive results,
it's because the whole team is playing.
He don't get that much attention and recognition.
No.
But just let it start to lose, man.
This is what he's been paid for, to win. And if you're not winning, you gotta go.
Gosh, I tell you.
Here it says a worldwide conversation on mental health in athletes has begun. And rightfully so, says sports psychology Matthew Sapple with a PhD. So the conversation has begun. Is it going to continue? Because more and more athletes are going through mental health struggles. And it says here, athletes and mental health. You catch up with me now?
Yeah.
Okay. Athletes often carry a larger-than-life persona in the public eye, which is quite true. They're regarded as modern-day warriors, competitors who bravely push past obstacles and adversity in the pursuit of victory. But the unique culture within sports can also serve as a pressure cooker. Athletes work in an aggressive environment, explains Dr. Sacco. Day-to-day activities revolve around separating winners from losers. Opponents often look for and prey on any sign of weakness. And when there is the perfectionist mindset of many competitors, it's a driving force toward achievement, but it can also leave athletes feeling unsatisfied no matter how well they perform. Finding a healthy balance in this cauldron can be difficult. As you work your way up the level of competition, it turns the heat up on some of these factors, and they can become a little bit more pronounced depending on the person, notes Dr. Saki. Mental health issues affecting athletes. It says, newsflash. Athletes are people who wrestle with the same complex mental health issues as the rest of us. So they're saying they are no different. They're just as many.
Yeah.
But asking for help can carry a stigma for athletes, says Dr. Sam. Because if you're tough, there's a misconception that you should be able to just do it yourself. You don't have to get help. The idea, he says, only creates bigger problems as time goes by. The reality is that many athletes face mental health issues as they manage challenges to perform at top levels. Condition,
It could not have been expressed better.
conditions common in athletes include. So let's do a little bit before we go to what it includes. So they are not superhuman. They are new and me. Regular Joe Blows. They just happen to be making more money than you and I. They just happen to be on the world stage with a ball in their hand, or a racket in their hand, or a golf club in their hand, or a boxing glove on their hand. You know, a bat in their hand. They just happen to do that and being paid a lot of money to do that. But deep down, just they have the same insecurities as you and I. Same and worse, because they are placed under the microscope.
Yeah.
You and I might walk the road and we have some issues and nobody pays attention to it because who are you? But if you see Serena Williams in his show, you forget where you're going and oh my gosh, here is Serena Williams. Here is Damian Lillard. Here is LeBron James. And what they're doing inside it. And you forget your whole self.
Yeah.
And you're paying attention to these people because they are in the public eye. They are on the world stage. They're performing first. And we love the performance. So, when they're going through mental health issues, don't complain. Fix it yourself. You're making enough money to fix it yourself because you are superhuman. And that is so wrong on all.
And that is the thing, they cannot fix it themselves.
Because they are human too. They feel just as us. If they get pinched, they'll go, ouch.
If it's that one time they need others' help or involvement.
It's now and when they're going through that.
Yeah.
Because they cannot, it says, they cannot get what it says. You don't have to get help. They say, you should be able to do it yourself. You don't have to get help. It says that idea only creates bigger problems as time goes on. Because now they are under pressure just because no one is going to help them because you fix it yourself.
Yeah.
You are LeBron James. You are Jester. You're Kiwani Noel. You run, you can run you get money, you get sponsored, you get a scholarship. Come on. Do what you have to.
Yeah.
What could you see?
But you have some people are maybe thinking like that.
Well, not some people thinking like that. People thinking like this represents everyday thing. People do that because it's like you're making the amount of money that you're making. How could you be unhappy? How could you be going through mental struggles? How? Tell me. If I'm making that kind of money, I'll be so happy. But that's not true.
They find it difficult to believe that.
Yes. And this is why the rate of suicide is so high. Because when you're not getting the help that you need, which road do you take it?
Understand? But not just that. Maybe again, some other athletes again, we have to look at it from the other side of the coin, whereby some of them might have been so proud, have been all up there on that pedestal, and then they realize there is a situation now. So they find for them so difficult to open up.
Good morning. Good morning. I think she hung up. Jenny, call again.
Shut them out.
I don't think she hung up. Jen, are you there? Morning. Jen, are you there? Hello? I don't know. I think she's out. Let me see. Jenny, please call again. I think the phone just went off for itself. Like the phone, this thing, something's wrong with this thing here.
Okay, well, I got people in purpose that that's too bad.
I know, so what you doing behind her?
I wanted you.
I don't
All right.
phone is coming. So yes, hold on, Jenny. The phone is doing its thing. I don't know. Something is not right. Jay is gonna come one day.
Is it charged?
It's
Okay.
fully charged.
And it just went off on it?
Yeah, it just went
No,
off.
no.
It's 83%, and the other one was doing the same thing too. But I think it's not going to the board, and I don't know why. So
Right. Why don't you take your phone and put it in garbage after?
when you replace it, I will just give me an hour. That one is going to the
But the
garbage.
way it's functioning, the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah, exactly agree. So Jen, call again when you have a moment. So yes, so as you're saying, and a lot of people is thinking that way. I think I broke your because the call was coming through.
Oh.
That's
Oh no, I was saying that the sports superstars and them, because they reach to that level so high, some of them find, and if they are going through that depression, some of them find it difficult to calm down a bit and open up and to get the required help that they need. You know, some of them might find it difficult to do that. And I'm just saying that we shouldn't fail to recognize that.
the thing is, as you know, Jester, when people are involved in sports, it is not just the athlete, it is not just the coaches or the referees or so. The hooligans like us
Yeah.
that cause a lot of the stress that they go through because they are after you to perform and perform well at the top of your game and not even realizing that, hey, I am human, he is human, and we go through things different times in our lives. So if you're not being considerate of that, then you're putting more undue stress on the athlete who already has stress by having to get up every morning and go practice. And yes, they're being paid well, but as we can see, money cannot stop mental health issues.
Yeah.
It cannot.
So one of the things we did not make mention of again, some competitors in sport, they are being approached at times to accept bribes,
Oh yes,
to
yes.
to underperform,
Mhm.
so that the opposing team or the team that the person want win. So in other words, the person that creating a bribe for you want the team to win.
Yes.
These things do happen
It
in
happened.
sport too.
Let me tell you.
Yeah.
In Toronto, there was a time that the hockey players, some of them quit hockey because the mob, if they know that, especially those that come from the block, and the parents is backing wherever and they're making a lot of money, the mob. Good morning. We're doing
Yeah.
fine. How are you?
Morning.
Good to hear you. We were quiet. I had a quiet one. I don't know what yesterday.
Oh, my Easter weekend?
Yes.
Oh, it was quiet for me. I spent some time looking at the Carifta games.
Right. Mhm.
let the fresh breeze in the days hit your face, and think about something else. Just walk. And that will bring you back to a sport where you feel comfortable now and says, okay, so fresh ideas may come into your head and that you can help you solve that issue that you're trying to solve. Other than that, sometimes it's larger than that. You may need to confront somebody about something that's bothering you, and you may delay that confrontation because it's so emotional for you that you have to find that moment where you can quiet your emotions, bring it down to a point so that you can actually now start talking about it. Yeah. So all these little things help you to be okay when you're not being okay. I'm not sure if that makes sense. Do you some of your listeners like something out of that? It was helpful.
It made a lot of sense because let me tell you, we have to learn, as you said, self care. I say I go in my Zen place where I only spend time with me, thinking about things, reflecting on my life, where I am, where I wanted to go, and how I'm getting there. And each and every one of us has to have that place where we can go because if we don't, who are we really doing things in our lives for? Who are we working for? Are we doing it for ourselves or are we doing it for someone? Unless you don't do it for yourself, then you will find no joy in it because you are not going to be happy at the end of the day, regardless of what you do, if you're not doing it for yourself.
I totally agree. And even sometimes people think, okay, I'm starting this year, team, whatever. It's not going to be easy. You're going to fall off. But you need to stick with it. So if you miss the day, do it tomorrow. If you miss doing it in the morning, do it in the afternoon. If you understand what I'm saying.
Yes.
So that you continue to do it. One of the analogies I come across is like taking your daily vitamins and taking an aspirin. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
The difference is if you have a headache, you take an aspirin and within the half an hour, 40 minutes, you feel the effect of it. Oh, you're good. Yeah?
Yes.
You're good. But taking the daily vitamins, you don't get the same effect. But over time, you get the effect of it.
Yes.
But you have to be consistent with it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah? So that you would keep enjoying the benefit of the extra energy. You're feeling more energized, you're healthier. The doctors are saying, well, whatever you're doing, continue doing because it's okay. If you understand what I'm saying.
Yes.
So those are the little things. Those things to me, that analogy, somebody, to me says, wow, I should see self-care. If you start it, must be consistent day out. If it's to go to the gym, if it's to meditate, if it's to walk, if it's to go in the garden, and do what you do in the garden so that you feel relaxed, so you can go in, take a shower, and actually get some good rest. Those are the things you need to be consistent with. And that's your daily vitamin for you to be, the best version of you. And if you do that, you will see the benefit, you will feel the benefit that people around you would also gain the benefit of it. So it's being consistent and keep at it. Don't you fall off today, pick it up again tomorrow. Yeah.
Yes, thank you so very much. Let me tell you, everything you speak here is like you just encompass everything that we're talking about. And I can't tell you how much I do appreciate when you call and give your comments on it because I learned. I don't know about the one that's sitting opposite me there, but he has to speak for himself.
No,
But I know a
you
lot of the other listeners do benefit because I get the comments. That man with that voice that calls and speaks and say, easy now, don't grab onto his man, all man. So yes, so you do make a really, really good impact on our listeners and me especially. Thank you so very much.
But
CJ,
oh yes, thank you so very much. But Claire, some of the things that he made mention of is a lot of it is quite simple. But do you know that simple things
Is what we
a lot of people find difficult to do?
listen to take your vitamin every day. It's a discipline thing, eh?
Yeah.
You mentioned taking your vitamins or whatever. It is a discipline thing. I put mine right on the counter in the kitchen. So when in the morning, I know I have to take it. So I take it. Otherwise, I'll be dizzy and so forth for months because I'm anemic as it is. So if I don't put it there for me to see to take it. But if it's out of sight, it's out of mind for you. And if you don't have the mental capacity to Remember and discipline yourself. A lot of things that you could do will just go out the window.
But you see, the thing is, and people like the caller, you don't find much people as disciplined as they are. You know, you find very, very few. So that is why with the level of athletics on the rise in Grenada, much of these athletes you just know they at some point in time they start performing and start, you know, excelling and doing well. But if some little thing come their way, some little thing start affecting them, because they are not as and they never train and discipline themselves, just as how the caller would have made mention of, they're not in a position to deal with it. So maybe we might have to start thinking of letting people, you know, go on and study sports psychology more, because we are really on the up in terms of and some of these athletes and them they are not in a position. I could tell you, they're definitely not in a position to deal with some of these depressing them, so that if anything they could able to get back on track.
So here it says some of the conditions, common condition in athletes that they go through includes depression. Research shows that athletes experience depression at the same rate as the rest of us, but the concern is that they are often less likely to seek support to address the issue. We spoke about that earlier, and it's coming up and up and over and over and over. Anxiety. A survey of college athletes found that 50% experienced overwhelming anxiety during the previous years. Overtraining syndrome, which is OTS. The pursuit of excellence in sports can become all consuming and eventually lead to OTC, that's overtraining syndrome, opening the door to both mental and physical distress. Studies suggest burnout has become increasingly common among athletes. Eating disorders. Athletes are at higher risk of developing eating disorders like anorexia nervosa or bulimia nervosa. It is more common among those competing in sports where a low body weight offer a competitive advantage. So some of them are really starving themselves just so
Yeah.
like what they call the pole vaulters.
Yeah.
They have to fly over that thing, right? They plant the pole and they fling their body up over that thing and don't touch the
Yeah.
ground.
Speaking of that, not cutting you out, that is one of the sports I would like to see that we introduce ourselves to
Right.
in Grenada.
And when you look at the little people and them that do that, it's pity people like me, so you know that flying over that.
Yeah,
So it's under
it's a real art, a real skill.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you see them do that, and you know that they are not eating blood and finger now every day, every week, you know, because they have to be at a certain weight and stature in the body so that they can fly over that thing. So eating disorder, and that causes bulimia. Bulimia is when you're eating and some of them they eat and they puke. They eat the food and they puke it out so that their body remains light so that they can do this thing. And don't get me wrong, and people let me explain. I am not saying that this is what is going on, but studies is showing that when they do that, they're getting bulimia and they're anorexic and all this kind of thing. And anorexia is when you're that side of that you think you're too fat and you don't eat because you have to perform well. You got to be at a certain weight to do what you have to do.
But that is very important in sport.
Very.
Depending on it will different that applies for the different sporting discipline you're involved in.
You have weight bodybuilders that eat like 12 eggs a day, but it's the egg whites that they eat. You know, they eat a lot. And I've seen a guy get it and I go, Jiminy Cricket. I mean, that and then plus that in mind, his arms. But they look funny because up here he's a big like Johnny Bravo and below that he's like, what's going on? But they have a special diet that they live on so that they can build their muscles and everything like that. And the same with us as normal people. If we do not eat a balanced diet every day, we are going to get sick. So think about the athletes that have to perform. The body has to take a beating regularly so that they can perform. So, traumatic stress disorder, sports-related injuries, including concussions, can lead to post-traumatic stress disorder, which is PTSD symptoms in athletes, study shows. So in football, and I'm not talking about the kicking one, I'm talking about the American football.
Oh,
Lots of them, even though they are wearing, that's why they wear helmets, and they still get concussion.
yeah.
When they get a blow in the head, the coach put up his 3 fingers or the referee. How many fingers does he know? 5? Because concussion, I think they have to go out of the game. They may have to go get MRI to see if anything's scattered inside their brain because of the blow that they get. And some of them never ever come back in the game because when you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 concussions, you are putting yourself at risk of death.
Yeah, sports is
It is
really dangerous.
And that's why I say the money that they are making, I am not envy of them making that money because one blow Jester,
Mhm.
one injury,
Just like
that's it. They are done like dinner. We also have sleep disorders. Training and competitions can disrupt an athlete's natural circadian rhythm and cause them much needed disease. Nervousness can keep eyes open at night too. Insomnia can sometimes help fuel mental health conditions. In any of these cases, Dr. Sacco says, athletes deserve time to sort things out, even if that means sitting on the sidelines for a bit. As onlookers, people often see it from this kind of armchair standpoint and think the athlete should be able to figure things out. Yes, that lacks any kind of real awareness of what's really going on. And we spoke about that earlier, and I'm going to keep saying, we're the hooligans. We sit behind on our couch. We sit with everyone. Now we're sitting with our phone in our hand and watching a game. And the comments we make when an athlete miss a goal or they get a red card or a thing because the stress level is so high. We say all kinds of things. We throw things at them on the field and all this kind of thing. Do you know? Okay. You that are sitting on the, how they call them, the armchair fans or the armchair athletes, you sitting in your house and you have your own mental health issues. Is anybody throwing anything at you? Anybody saying to you, you could fix it, get up and do it? No. But you sit there because you have the liberty to sit behind a TV or your phones or your whatever. And you're saying all this, you're writing all these bad things about the athletes on social media. And you want to tell me that's not affecting them in any way? They are out there working their butts off to bring you joy. But they are also humans like you and me.
Exactly. But
they have their day.
These people and them, when they want the victory, they are seeing these competitors and them as perfectionists, and that is not the case. They are still humans.
That and then some. Yeah, they are humans. Because if they weren't human, you'd, like they say, take the robots and put them on the field. AI is going to put robots to play things just now.
Yeah,
Put them on the field.
Speaking about that, I was looking at news and I see you have in Beijing, you have robots running alongside man.
Yes, this is what the world is coming through. Yeah,
this is just crazy stuff.
But this is what's happening.
I can see may have the advantage, but I also see the disadvantage as well.
And let me tell you something. The lazy ones of us, they're going to embrace this, not knowing that the jobs are at stake. Because if the robot is going to do way more in a minute than what we could do in the 8 hours that we are doing, that's why they create. You think that they're doing this not knowing the impact that it's going to have on the bottom line?
Yeah, but clear, what I see will happen in terms of for security purposes, like to fight crimes, I believe that could be good.
Okay.
But I also seen it could be a case where privacy would be invaded as well. Because remember, in these robots and them, I believe it will have chip what relaying information back to its headquarters. That's my thing. So
that's
yeah,
what you have in your hand. You know, when people say I perfect smoke. When people say me, I don't want nobody to know my business private. You already know your business.
Yeah,
and relaying it, like I said, Big Brother is watching. Because I could never forget when I spoke about the towels that I want to get at linen and things. Next thing, my phone is all over with linen and things, back towels that I'm looking for. And one time, the phone spoke back to me when I talk about the government has this program that you can do hands-on, and it says according to Wikipedia, and I'm like, what? It spoke back to me. So that means with all of us, especially as Black people, that do not want people to know our business about it, it's already out there, honey. Just accept that you are being watched 24/7. And if you don't have anything to hide, you shouldn't be worried about that. So the robots that they are making, as you said, for security reasons, yes, that could work. But it's going to take over a lot of the job fronts that we have.
Yeah, that's true too.
And this again, people are mentally prepared for it and not in a good way.
Because I remember looking at the news again to say AI would be replacing quite a lot of physical human labor.
Mm-hmm. But you see the thing about it, a lot of us are lazy. We don't want to work and we try making shortcut. AI going to come and give them the full cost.
So, that's telling me.
So here it says, Jester, what can we do to help those that are going through mental health struggles? We can work together to make mental health a priority. Individually and collectively, we can make a difference. So let's take a quick commercial break, Jester, and we shall be back to what we can do. And there's a lot that we can really do.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Welcome to Take 5, your mental health program with CJ and Jester. CJ and Jester.
Contact more information, contact Noise TV at 929-445-4463. So you can email us at Noise TV. Noise TV, the leading streaming provider. Anytime, anywhere, any screen. Access to your favorite HD contents with prices as low as ever. Choose from monthly, quarterly, or yearly payments. This worldwide service is flexible for you to keep up with all your favorite programs, shows, movies, and local programming from home no matter where you travel to. Worldwide TV channels right at your fingertips wherever you are. It's latest in live sports, binge watch all your favorite TV shows, movies on demand. Videos on demand you can pause, rewind, fast forward anytime. Never miss 1 minute in entertainment important to you. No contracts, no added prices for sports or premium packages. To pull tricks like cable and satellite companies. Our product speaks for itself and beyond. Noise TV. We have everything like Netflix, Disney, Amazon. Watch your favorite movies, TV shows, and series with our services. With our service, we will get rid of all other subscriptions. Information, contact Noise TV at 99445-3363. Email us noise.tv@gmail.com.
Spurs of Real Life Island Spurs as the Spurs Island Farmers Association, producing of our locally grown Spurs products, turmeric, ginger, lemon, cinnamon, cloves, and much more. Agricultural news promotes healthy living. The spices can be used in all your cooking and for medicinal purposes. Call today on 1073 533
Digitally calibrated machines, resurfacing engine heads, general machinery. Show us a pattern and we'll make it with precision machines. At Sugar's Repair Services, we satisfy your needs. Just ask and it will be done. Call us at 473-418-185.
What's happening for the ladies of mattress? Where you can purchase and personalizing at the same time. Well, we look further. Smart buying as a wealth and company limited. Your kids have you hand at your toe and live through such a same mattress. So we have the stars. We're open Sunday to Sunday from 10 to 6 p.m. and Mondays to Fridays. Keeping them to p.m. on Saturdays, and people will see to 12 p.m. on Sundays, just so your convenience. Call them today at 512-9219. That number again, 702 919 with a shopping snack bag. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Welcome to Take 5, your mental health program with CJ and Jester. With CJ and Jester.
That's the way of that. And it's interesting. It's an interesting topic because sports is in the air. We had intercol, we had primary school sports, we had interprimary, we had nursery sports, we had all kinds of sports.
And we had the junior character games.
Right. So we had all that, and sport is in it. And I think this was a fitting topic to talk about today because it is okay not to be okay because, as we are saying now and we are seeing now, a lot of folks are thinking that we have to be superhuman. We have to be able to perform under whatever under any stress whatsoever, and because we can fix it ourselves. So when we see that, oh, something is wrong with Claire, something is wrong with Jester, then they're saying, well, what can Claire be going through that she cannot even perform on? What is Jester going through that I'm going to mental health issues? And it's not something that you can just look at me and tell because it is not visible a lot of the times. So here, it says, what can we do? It says we can work together to make mental health a priority, individually and collectively. We can make a difference. So it says, first, know the resources in your community and become familiar with counselors in your community, school, or club. Next, if you see something, say something. That is when we terrorists and the police and say, if you see something, say something.
Yeah.
Use open-ended questions to start a discussion with someone you are concerned about. A question like, what's on your mind? Can help what's on your mind can help someone share their feelings with you. In addition to reading this article, you can learn the issues faced by people in your sport by doing an internet search or having casual conversations with other people in your groups. Those conversations will help you work together to decrease stigma related to discussing mental health. Another idea is to take time to talk about how emotions impact us and on and off the field. And in essence, that can help normalize talking about difficult situations. For example, you can explain that mental toughness includes acknowledging our good times and our hard times. By dedicating time to learn about emotions, you are taking steps to demystify mental health. And I think that is such a good point that the doctor made because we need to talk Jester. And I cannot say it. I'm not telling you to go taking a bullhorn and telling everybody what you're going through. But there must be someone that you can talk to say, I am going through this and I need help. How can I get it?
Someone you can confide in. Yeah.
Because if we don't talk, we're going to have a nation with an epidemic of mental health. And it starts very young. Because when it brings to the fact that children 6 and up, because of being bullied, die by suicide, this is not something that we should take lightly.
Yeah.
And young as we are, so now we see things and we say, well, that little child behaving bad, I wonder what's going on. Oh, you ain't getting no, you have no respect of it. We don't even know what is going through that child mind unless you start to speak. And then you might hear, Daddy does beat me up. Mommy does not feed me. And all these things. So this is how the child act out because of what he or she is going through. And that affect them mentally because when they see other children that is of their age faring better than them, obviously it's going to take some sort of impact on it. You and I know when you're growing up and you have a friend and the friend has something, you want one too. And you go to your parents and you say, John has that, can I have one? And they say, well, move yourself here. Where am I getting money to do it? Mentally, they're abusing you.
Okay, not just that. Sometimes a good sports person, um, he was used to be performing very well, was into the spotlight, doing excellently, and all of a sudden, like an injury, just cut that off, just put them down. And
Sideline them.
sometimes now, if sometimes they may not be in a position to handle that situation, so you need somebody now to counsel them to kind of take their mind off, maybe thinking about certain things that would be very much undesirable towards them. So it is important.
Both of them just like. I remember Lawrence Taylor. He was the best defensive and in the on the Giants team. I mean, people, footballers, the offensive guys, whatever, they were afraid of Lawrence Taylor because he broke one man arm because he was really, really good. And then I was watching some football thing once, sitting there, I was sitting there watching this thing. And then they came up with Lawrence Taylor. And when I saw that, time I knew nothing about mental health. Just when I saw, and I'm like, well, how could that be happening to Lawrence Taylor? He during the off season, I think he partaking in drugs and all that. At one time, he was lying in a fetus on the side of some building here.
Yeah.
That Lawrence Taylor. And from then on, it kind of freaked me out to see how people that have so much money and they have so much cars and so many
I'm of
houses
that stature.
and lying on the side of the road in a fetal position actually cried. And then I started asking myself, well, money and sugars with money really make somebody happy? Because he has money to burn.
Sometimes it makes them miserable too.
That's true. And this is when I started to really believe in that money does not make anybody happy. And it's because he has the money to buy the drugs and the exotic ones and all that and put himself in that situation where, and he's not the only one. A lot of them, if something happens to them in the season and they have to be on the bench or go through whatever, they take it on because they're no longer in the squad. The squad is where they belong. So if they cannot be there, then they go to other thing and drugs is the next best thing for them to cool themselves to make them feel to take away the feeling of listlessness, of loneliness, or whatever it is that they're going through.
And that is so unfortunate.
Very much so. So those of us that sits and tell ourselves that these people are making a lot of money and they should be able to go through anything. We got to think again because it is not something that is a normal thing, especially when you are that popular. You see again, Jester, you see a lot of them in sports and they reach at an age. And you say, but why can't they retire? Why they're forcing themselves to be at this team or that team or that time and they wouldn't go? And it's not that they need the money, It's the what do you call it? I don't know if it's popularity, but it's the fact that what am I going to do
the fame and
when I leave? The fame. What am I going to do when I walk away from here? So they stay and they become old as road. And they take all the abuse and people say they're all why don't they go and they this and they that. But it's the thing about how it affects them mentally. What am I going to do with myself after I leave the sport of football, basketball, hockey, whatever it is? And if you do not have a second something to fall back on, chances are you may end up in drugs, you may end up in places that you don't want to be in, and all kind of things like that. And that's why I admire people like LeBron James and a few of them. There was this guy that used to play on the Eagles football team. They all had jobs. They were investors. They had malls, and so if when they end their sporting thing, they had something else to go to. But when you make your whole life this, and it ends, your life ends too, you know, in more ways than one.
You see, some people, when they enter into the career, it's all well and good. They see ways and means of developing it in career, but there comes a time, as it's often been said, what goes up must come down, you know, and all good things,
Come to an end.
yeah, do come to an end.
Yes.
So, but some of them, they don't really mentor themselves for that and or for retirement. And some of them have difficulty in dealing with it.
Hmm. It's a sad thing, but I'm happy that we're speaking about it because, as you said, sport is only up and up in Grenada and the whole Caribbean. And those of us who are listening on this program or hearing it, and you know somebody that has a child that is participating in sports, maybe you know they may not be listening here, but maybe you can talk to them and give them the the the, the knowledge that you have on how to look at the children or look at people around them and know when help is needed and not just sweep it under the carpet and say, oh, you're okay, just going through a phase. It is not a phase. A phase is when you start to bust your teeth. You make two, then two at the top, two at the bottom. That is a phase of teething, and then you get all your teeth in your mouth, and that phase over. But when your child is going through this mental problems, maybe you don't even know that this mental problem, but kind of talk to someone and see who can intervene into your child's life or into your partner, your husband, your wife, whoever. Because it does not only happen in sports, it happens on a normal day-to-day basis with us as regular human beings. We all go through it because, as it says, they are human too. They are no better than us. They just make more money than us and they're playing a sport that we can't pay ourselves. So it says, how do I know, or how do you know when it is time to talk to a counselor? Counselors can help with problems that arise during different times in your life. You don't have to wait until something is wrong to see a counselor. They can help you prepare for major transitions, such as moving from high school to college, learn communication skills and teamwork, understand career transitions, develop relationship skills, and so much more. At the same time, if you find that your mind is so distracted that you have difficulty going about your daily life, including getting out of bed, doing schoolwork, developing psychological recovery from an injury, going to training, going to work, or communicating with others, you can talk with a counselor to understand why you feel distracted and to develop skills that will help you navigate problems in a more constructive way. Counselors assess, diagnose, and treat mental health disorders like anxiety, depression, PTSD, eating disorders, and substance abuse. These, among other diagnoses, are common among athletes, and counselors who are trained in working with athletes have specialized knowledge about how these issues impact your sport. Even though many people feel alone in their mental health journeys, it is important to know that everyone experiences roadblocks in life. Here is a snapshot from the Centers for Disease Control, this is the CDC in America, of people who experience mental health concerns. So we're going to head into this just now. So Jester, it is saying that a lot of us do not, and I stress, do not like to speak to people about what we are going through. And we suffer in silence. But is it helping us or is it destroying us?
I first of all would advise not just any and anybody you speak to. That's why I use confide, because when you think about confiding in someone, you expect what you tell them to be confidential, you know, and not being heard all over the place after, you know. But you definitely have to open up at times based on what you're going through, and so that you can get the required help. Yeah, it's no other way. You know, trying to handle certain things on your own like that, it could either make it worse for you, you know. That's how I'm seeing it.
Well, yes, it is. Because we have it inside of us. It's eating inside of us. But we cannot say anything because of what people will think about us. You gotta forget people. Because people is not who is feeling the strain inside here. And I firmly believe, Jester, if I am going through something and I say to you, I will feel better because at least I say to someone and we can have a discussion about it. But if when I see you, I pretending all is well, or when I plan Queen Victoria and night, I'm bawling like crazy upstairs because I don't know how to deal with it, that is going to kill me even faster. Because here, at the end of the day, they do not put stress in coffins. Bodies are going there. And it is studies have shown that stress is the number one killer of us human beings. And if we don't know how to control it, it's going to control us. So regardless of who it is out there that look at you and think that, imagine, okay, so be it. Because guess what? It begins and ends with me. And I have to learn to forget about what people say because most times when people say things, they do not know the truth about what is going on with you. Everybody is speculating. And if you just speak about it, as I said, it takes one bite at a time to eat an elephant. You cannot eat the whole elephant in one shot, one bite at a time. So if you bite off a little bit of what you're going through by speaking to someone, a friend of yours or a counselor, it's going to start making you feel lighter until you really make the transition into saying exactly what it is that you're going through. And then you're going to be a whole new person that you can help someone else because you've been there, done that. But when you hold it inside, you walk in and you don't even know if you're talking to yourself. And then you start to answer yourself, and then people know you're mad.
It's a Winston White and Brian Peter. He tried to eat a whole cow.
Yes. Oh, well, not one bite at a time. They didn't take one bite at a time, did they? Yeah.
In the end, you realize that cow might have killed.
Yes. You could only eat one bite at a time. And sometimes with a lot of us bite of food and we can chew. And this again is wrong.
Mhm.
Because we seem to accumulate all the pressures that we have and we hold it there. Because again, we do not want anybody to know that the great Jester Noel is having issues. Or Claire is having issues. We don't want anybody to know that we keep it under the rug, we keep it. But sooner or later, you see the rug start to lump up with all the things that we keep sweeping under it. It's no longer flat and flush on your floor. It starts to look, like it's making little mole hills. And then people will say, but what's going on in the carpet inside yours? Like, oh, I'm sweeping all my badness under it, all my issues. But it's not helping me. So you got to find persons, counselors, therapists that you can really talk to about what you're going through. And yes, sometimes they're not very confidential, but that again could work in your favor. You understand? Because guess what, Jester? People that are addicted to stars and basketball players or sports elites, as they call them, if it comes out that Michael Phelps is having mental problems, Naomi Osaka is having mental problems, Serena having mental problems. Well, if they could go through mental problems, then I could speak about what's happening to this, but so it's not all bad sometimes. Sometimes the person that has it and they adore that person or they idolize that person and that person is going through that, then hey, I could speak about what it is that I'm going through too because they're better than me. They have more money than me, all kinds of things. And they're going through that, then mine is piece of cake. So sometimes it works in your favor because of who has it and how it affects them and how it's going to affect us.
I agree.
So it says here a snapshot from the Center for Disease Control, CDC, of people who experience mental health concerns. Over 50% of people will be diagnosed with a mental health disorder in their lifetime. 50% Jester. That is half of us.
That's a lot.
A lot. Half
That's
of
very
us.
high.
Right? 1 in 5 adults will experience a mental health diagnosis in a given year. And that's high still. 1 in 5 children have or will have a mental health diagnosis. Regarding suicide in 2020, the CDC also reported I'm afraid to tell you the amount. Nearly 46,000 people took their life.
Wow.
You understand? Nearly that. 46,000 people, took their own life. Right?
Mm-hmm.
12.2 million people contemplated taking their life. 3.2 million people planned to take their life. 1.2 million people reported making an attempt to take their life. This is mind-boggling,
Oh yes. These figures and it's really alarming.
Could you imagine 12.2 million? And somebody might be on the live with the listener and say, well, who tell them that how did they know that people, this amount of people? There's something called the Gallup poll that they pass around and get what they call the whatever how people feeling and they talk about it, and that's when they put it all together and know the amount of people that are going through things. It's like when they have a TV show and they want to cancel it. They don't just pick up and cancel a TV program like that, They do their research, they do their polls, and they realize, well, the ratings is not as it is. So next season, they're gone. Because they're not in it to lose money. So when they say 46,000 people took nearly that amount of people took their life.
That's worldwide, I guess. Yeah? Is that worldwide?
Well, the CDC, the Center for Disease Control, is in the United States of America.
Okay, sure. Okay.
And this is the great country that everybody flocks to. But there's more stress in there than anywhere else in the world, if you ask me.
Especially now.
Especially now. But I think 12.2 million people contemplate taking their life, Jester. That is a hard thing for me to swallow. 12.2 million. That is million with a million, just 0, 0, 0, going on people there, A lot of people, 3.2 million planned to take it. So you see the letter premeditated more than you put it. They planned to take their life. And 1.2 million people reported making an attempt to take their life. And just I am not one to sit here and judge people because I am not walking in their shoes. I don't know what anybody is going through. But I would tell myself that I can see, unless something major takes place with me, I cannot see myself being on that list. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Like I said, unless something major, I cannot, in my eyes where I'm sitting right here, right now, I cannot see myself being on that list. Because then again, you do not know what triggers people. As I said, I don't know what is going to happen or what's going to cause it. But I'm sitting there with my frontal cortex working nicely. I cannot see myself doing this.
Yeah, because man, you can't remember this. Well, I don't see what myself could do for me to kill it.
Exactly. We don't I don't know. It's amazing. Somebody just sent a comment here. Let me see what she says. She says, confidentiality is a big thing for me. And because of past experiences, I do not confide in others. And yes, talking does help, but it's the after effects. And that is what we're talking about, being confidential when you speak to those people. Because you see, I think here, Jester, I'm going to concentrate on Grenada because this is where we are. We have this tendency when somebody says something to us because we know it first, we have to spread it.
Yeah.
We have to say what we know. And that's why I say, when somebody asks me, or somebody comes to me and asks me, where Jester lives, I don't know. And you could tell me, I know. I don't know. And I'll tell you why. We are too quick to give information to people when we do not know who they are and what their motives are. Somebody who could be coming to take me out right here, and they meet somebody by the road that knows where I live. And then they say, do you know where Claire, or she goes by CJ live? Oh yes, just walk up the track and the house is right there, she said.
Yeah,
and the person come and kill me. And then the person will kill me and they say, Oh, me not tell them what she living in, but if I then coming for you, because we are too quick to just give information.
But that's how we are, and we're in change.
To stop this.
But when we stop,
And they're talking about this culture. Culture has nothing to do with it. It's you because your mouth is like the Euphrates River and the Jordan River. You like to run it because you know what's going on.
but then again, just you're looking at it on one side.
Give me the other side.
The other side of it, what about me? I really need to find somebody. And if when I go to that area, they give me some run around and that is frustration for me.
You can be a woman.
No, come on.
Person, and you want to find them because you know you're going to want to study, they want to come to your place. It's like I always say to people, when you went across the US border, we all get nervous as it is, eh? So when they come out with the stoic as ever, where are you going? 5 questions, one after the other. You take your time when you answer. I'm going to Brooklyn. How long are you staying? 2 weeks. Who do you have there? My mom lives there. So why she lives in New York and live in Canada? So that's a Canada answer. I cannot answer that. Why should you live there? I can't answer that. Because they intimidate you. And then you start giving information that they didn't ask. And always say, answer what you are asked. And even if you go to the police station, anywhere you go, and people questioning you, do not answer what you're not asked. Sometimes we give too much information and put ourselves in trouble. Big, big trouble. So the person wrote again. And I like when we get those comments. She says, it is important to know God and have a relationship with Him. That helped me overcome challenges and helped me mentally. And let me tell you, the window to God is prayer.
Yeah.
He answers them.
Ultimately so.
Yes.
So I understand where the person is coming from.
Sometimes the answer that we are looking for is not what we get, but it's right in front of us for us to see. If we pay attention. Because sometimes you pray and ask God to let us win the lottery. He won't give it out. You understand? But somewhere along the line, somebody's going to come and give you some money when you need it. This is the way He answers your prayers for the money. So, here we have a lie.
Correct. I don't want us to end exactly
when
the time is because you have no, you don't need to go that. You have a couple of things that I would like to just touch before we close off on.
So yes, we have 7 minutes. That's good. Right. To provide crisis assistance in cases where people are feeling hopeless about life. In 2022, the 988 Suicide Crisis Hotline, that was for the US, was established. The free 24/7 confidential support line aims to help people and their loved ones who are in distress. People can call, text, or chat with 988. Here in Grenada, at home, we have the Ministry of Social Affairs. The number is 440-2269. Call if you're feeling distressed, if you need to talk to someone, and ask them, and after an answer, beg them to be confidential. And what you say to them, let it stay between you and them. Because you do more damage mentally to me and to anybody else that comes to you and talk about what you're going through. And then you, yes, you, takes it and bring it out there and spread it like butter. And I get to hear it and makes me even feel worse than when I started. Worse. So, the last thing I'm closing it. Do not be afraid to open up and talk about what you are going through. And I'm going to play that clip for the last, if somebody people didn't hear it before, this is what it is. And hopefully, just
Spice up your life and a spice as the Spice and Family Association.
Understand that it's okay to not be okay.
It's time to talk. It's time to change.
When I played football, that was my language. That's how I communicated. And when that was taken away from me, I just felt like I was nothing. I was no one.
You know, you got so much responsibility as an athlete to your team. You know, you got to play at a certain level, and your teammates counting on you. You got the pressure from the media.
You know, when you experience the highs, and obviously you're going to experience the lows, and it's coping with the lows that is the most difficult part.
When I got into my state, it hit me like a brick.
Was that because
I didn't tell anyone because I didn't want anyone to think differently of me?
When I was playing rugby, my feet were not planted deep, they were shallow. Anything was knocking me around, and I felt like it was a balancing act. I had to fight against this, fight against this, fight against this, and hold on and survive and win a game. And it was just, thank God for that. Let's move on.
Yeah.
I suffer from depression. Depression is with me on a daily basis. It is time for sport to accept its responsibility with this issue.
There's records, there's numbers that I'm really close to. And of course, I feel pressure, but I will play, I will fight, and I will keep going on.
My thoughts of wanting to take my life. They don't define me, and they will never define me, and they'll never win.
Struggles are going to happen in life. You know, you're going to get punched in the mouth at some point, but understand that you can get back up, dust yourself off, and get back out there.
And everybody's going through something. And everybody, has things that you can't see, you can't touch that, they're walking around with every day.
If your eyes hurt, you go to the opticians. If your head's hurt, you go and see someone about mental health. It'd be nice just to let it out rather than keeping it in. So the more you keep it in, the more you explode.
I don't know why I opened up and talked about it, but I guess I was just sick and tired of just having it inside of me for 20 plus years, and I was ready to make a change.
These, some of the elite athletes that have been through mental health struggles and they're talking about it. So as I said, don't be afraid to open up and talk about what you're going through. You can only get help to make you feel better. The floor is yours, sir.
Well, yes, really a good show on this Tuesday morning regards to mental health. I believe it was well received. Claire, I just want to express my most profound sympathy to the Pascal family out there in
Yes.
Mount Craven. I have to do that. I know the lady. She's such a good lady. In fact, she was very, very much instrumental in my interest in entering primary school back then in the late 70s. So, yeah, to her children, Augustine, Teresa, Maureen, Charles, Patrick, Anne, you know, her nieces and nephews, our brothers. My deepest sympathy goes out to you, the passing of the late Agnes Pascal.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I spoke
just
to him
want to
last night, called him, so yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah.
that's one. I also want to say congratulations to Team Grenada, the Carifta team. Claire, we did extremely well. I believe many of them did not win gold, silver, or bronze, but I believe they
They
gave
won
of
it.
the very best. And that is what matters most of all. And I tell you, I foresee Grenada will do much, much better maybe in about the next 5 years or so. I believe, because athletics certainly on the increase here. I mean, when you look at it, we did far better. The only other, apart from Jamaica, the only two nations that did better than us was the Bahamas and Trinidad. Because when you look at Barbados, we did all better than Barbados. Barbados has a population of 282,000 people. You know what I mean? If you understand what I'm saying. So we definitely are rising in a serious way. And the interest and the support is there from parents and the public at large in that regard as well. We're seeing more and more athletics clubs are being formed, and that's really, really a good thing. As a matter of fact, we are now in the process of organizing one in St. Patrick's. The coaches, we have a meeting coming up with the coaches to deal with that. So
So we're almost at the end, and I promise that customer service is key to any business that you are in, right? And Vidscope Communication is having a customer service workshop facilitated by Shama Wells. That is going to take place on Saturday, April 26, 2025, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the Kiwani James thing in St. George, the stadium in St. George's. And the topics for discussion is what is customer service? 10 rules for great service. What customers expect. Culture of commitment. Handling different types of customers. Customer retention. Ethical issues. effective communications, and more. For reservation, call 457-1990 or 435-0277 or email vidscope1@gmail.com. That's vidscope1@gmail.com. Make a first good impression. Customer expectations. And I'll just give you a quick thing. I went on one of our customer service presentation, and one thing I know that I will always keep it: customer is key, and customer pay your salary. Because if you have a business and you do not have great customer service, which is what we are lacking here in our country, then we don't have business and we don't have jobs. Because this customer service, if somebody walks in your store and they say good morning, and you stand and you stare at them as, why are you telling me good morning? Then something is wrong with you. You need to go to that customer service workshop on the 26th of April and learn what it is. It is amazing, honestly. We need to do that. And more businesses should take either two or one person whenever she has that workshop and send them. You will learn a whole lot about customer service training.
Yeah, customer service is critical,
It is
very
really
much
it's
critical.
key
Yeah,
to any business at all.
yeah, any
We have-
business success.
Yes.
You're
Yes.
talking about the face of the
The
business.
face of the business, the face
Yeah.
of the company.
And that is why, Claire, any owner of the business must be concerned about that because most of the time the owners have been so preoccupied that they are not involved in the day-to-day running of your business operation. So they ought to have the person that is there that will first see people who comes into the business. That person is a very, very important person based on how they receive people coming into the business. Because if you're a turn off to people, it means that your business is severely affected and that you may not know of. You may find that you're not making the kind of monies that you probably at one time was making. Because probably you would have started off, you started off the business kind of small, and as it grows, it expands. You find a different role now, so you have to hire somebody or you have somebody in place to portray that role that you were once portraying. But then after when you check, you realize, oh, I'm not making the kind of money that I was once realizing. And it could be because that person that is, so
Yeah, they need that. So we'd like to say thank you to each and every one of you that's checked in this morning on our program. It was a contributor. Thank you, Mr. Nicholas Snag, as always, for making us feel really good about the program and the topic that we choose. Thank you to all of you, Spice Ram, not 94.9 We Noise FM in New York, 107.5 Mr. Williams in Granitown. Thank you also to each and every one of you that listened, participated, and hopefully on Tuesday, next Tuesday, God's will, we'll have another powerful program on another powerful topic to bring enlightenment to you, me, and every one of us that listens to Take 5 with CJ and
Jester.
Thank you all. See you soon.